The House will come to order. I recognize the member from Sherburne, Representative Novotny.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As usual during this week, it's Law Enforcement Memorial Week, and we have a resolution. I begin it with this. A House resolution commemorating May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week of May 10th through the 16th as Police Week in Minnesota. Whereas thousands of Minnesotans have selflessly stepped forward to safeguard the lives and property of their fellow citizens as peace officers, regardless of the danger to themselves. And
I recognize a member from Ramsey, Representative Moeller.
Whereas since December 3rd, 1874, when a Minnesota peace officer was reported killed in the line of duty for the first time, the Minnesota Law Enforcement Memorial Association has recorded 314 peace officers in the state who have made the ultimate sacrifice and given their lives in service to their communities. And
I recognize a member from St. Louis, Representative Johnson P.
Whereas the names of 3 peace officers are being added to this year's Minnesota Law Enforcement Association Memorial Honor Roll, including St. Paul police officer Felicia Riley, who died in the line of duty in 2025, and Ramsey County Sheriff's Deputy Robert J. Clark, and Zumbrota police officer Gary Schroeder Jr., who died in previous years and whose sacrifice is now being recognized. And
I recognize a member from Dakota, Representative Hewitt.
Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation designating May 15th as Peace Officer Memorial Day, and the week in which the date falls as National Police Week in honor of those who, throughout their courageous deeds, have lost their lives and have become disabled in the performance of duty. And
I recognize a member from Beltrami, Representative Duran.
Whereas peace officers with the Minnesota Law Enforcement Memorial Association have been standing guard at the Peace Officer Memorial in St. Paul since 6 p.m. on May 14th to honor Minnesota's fallen peace officers. And
I recognize a member from Ramsey, Representative Curran.
Whereas the officers continue to stand guard at the Peace Officer Memorial for the 24 hours leading up to a remembrance ceremony at 7 p.m. on May 15th, 2026. And
I recognize a member from Dakota, Representative Whitty.
Whereas we should all pause in our work to honor the peace officers who gave their lives to protect ours, and to thank the 10,890 peace officers in Minnesota who serve in 400 law enforcement agencies for their dedication and services to our community. Now and therefore,
I recognize a member from Scott, Representative Steer.
All right, be it resolved by the Committee of Rules and Legislative Administration of the House of Representatives in the state of Minnesota that it recognizes May 15th, 2026 as Peace Officer Memorial Day in honor of the officers killed in the line of duty, and the week of May 10th to the 16th of 2026 as Police Week in honor of the men and women who, night and day, stand guard in the mist to protect us, and urge all Minnesotans to recognize and support peace officers in their communities.
Reports from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration.
Along from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration, pursuant to Rule 1.21, designates the following bills to be placed on the calendar for the day for Sunday, May 17th, 2026. Senate file numbers 4401, 334, and 1943. House file numbers 719, 2484, and 2486, and Senate file number 5200.
With no objections, so ordered. Conference Committee reports on House files.
Conference Committee report on House File number 4252, an act relating to higher education. The report is addressed to the Honorable Lisa M. Damuth, Speaker of the House, the Honorable Bobby Joe Champion, President of the Senate. We, the undersigned, conferees for House File number 4252 report that we've agreed upon the items in dispute and recommend as follows. The Conference Committee's report by all 4 members on the part of the House, of the Senate, and all 4 members on the part of the House. Wolgamott moves that the report of the Conference Committee on House File Number 4252 be adopted and that the bill be repassed as amended by the Conference Committee.
I recognize the member from Benton, Representative Wolgamott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That is my motion. We rise to ask for your support for the Conference Committee report on House File 4252, the Higher Education Finance and Policy Bill. Members, there aren't too many drastic changes from the last time this bill was before you. To recap, we have $3 million for identification verification systems in the Min-State system to combat enrollment fraud, also known as ghost students. We have $2.7 million to fund a shortfall gap for the Fostering Independence grants, which will ensure that all foster youth in Minnesota can get a post-secondary education if that's what they choose. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Speaker, we have $5,000 for trees at Bemidji State. That's what's in the bill. I will note with frustration and disappointment that there are exactly $0 in this bill to fund the $131 million hole in the state grant program. We were not able to get a target that would be able to make a dent in that, which is disappointing. But nevertheless, Mr. Speaker, that's our bill, and I would urge members to give it a green vote.
Is there any discussion on the Conference Committee report? I recognize the member from Hennepin, Representative Robbins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Thank you, Chair Wolgamott. It was great to work with you, and I agree with how he described the bill. It's a very simple bill. I also share your frustration that we were not able to do something to fix the state grant. Chair Rarick had put forth 4 pages of structural suggestions that were rejected, but this is something that will have to happen in the next legislature. There are several structural problems with the deficit in the state grant that we have to solve, and we owe it to all Minnesota students to do that. But nevertheless, the Fostering Independent Grant Program was enormously important. We're grateful to have been able to plug that hole. Grateful to be able to stop the fraud with the Go Student program that's going to get underway, and we look forward to everyone's support.
Is there any further discussion on the Conference Committee report? I recognize the member from Benton, Representative Wolgamott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, before we go to a vote, I do want to express gratitude and appreciation for all those who made this Conference Committee report happen. To all the members of our Higher Education Policy and Finance Committee in the House, to all of our incredible staff, partisan and nonpartisan, we really do have a dream team that made this happen. Specifically want to thank the conferees, the House conferees, Chair Robbins, Representative Rarick, and Representative Coulter for their contributions, as well as the Senate conferees. Again, not a perfect bill, but there are some good things here. Would urge a green vote. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
There being no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion to adopt the Conference Committee report on the House files say aye. Those opposed say nay. The motion prevails. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File Number 4252, as amended by conference.
Third reading. Any further discussion? I recognize the member from Wright, Representative Rarick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So one thing that was really amazing is we actually did all of our deliberations, all of our negotiations in public. And I would urge this body to adopt that in every single conference committee and every single time you step into a room like that. We did no behind-the-scenes negotiations. Everything was done in front of the public. Now, some of it was a little bit mundane because we had the Office of Higher Education policy bill, but that is the type of work that we should be doing in public. And so I just want to urge this whole body as we move forward into the next, some people are retiring, some people will be returning, but I would adopt that and make sure that we do things publicly. I think that the public deserves that. I do have some concerns about what's in the bill, and we did not address the state grant shortfall. and it's big. And I had talked about this before when this bill was in front of us before. We had a $235 million shortfall just last year. We closed that gap through adding some more money, cutting some programs and reappropriating that money, and then also making some policy changes. And here we find ourselves again in $131 million shortfall again. And I would also remind the body that the Office of Higher Education repeatedly said at least 3 times in the committee that this is actually a structural deficit that we created. In 23, many programs were created, and they are certainly taking off. You know, when you tell kids free college, they come running. So they did, and now we have a big structural deficit. So the other thing I would say is that we had a late breaking issue that came up. We did not hear it in the House. We didn't hear it in the other body. And that was a massive shortfall in the Fostering Independence grant. So these are our foster kids. These are our kids that went through the foster system and have no other support. And so we created about 4 years ago now. My husband actually created it. He told me that over dinner yesterday. That kids that go through the foster system actually can get the cost of attendance. So more than just tuition, fees, books, it's the whole cost of attendance. So it has also taken off like wildfire. It's a much smaller deficit than we were facing in the state grant program, but we were able to almost close that gap. And this was literally a late breaking thing. But we were able to do that because we met in public, because we all had the same goals, which is to take care of kids that nobody else is there to take care of. And so we were very happy. It was just over $2 million. We were able to kind of cobble together to take care of the kids in foster care that have come out of foster care. The other thing I would say as an alum of Bemidji State University and someone that spent 5 years on that campus, and you know, it's one of the most beautiful campuses with all of the trees, and it's the biggest acreage-wise of the whole Mid-State system of all the universities. And when that incredible, horrible storm came through Bemidji and knocked down several million trees, it took down 200 of their most mature trees at Bemidji State University. So I want to give a shout out to Chair Robbins, because she actually came up with a very creative solution to the problem of 200 mature trees being knocked down and decimated. And we actually partnered with the University of Minnesota, and they came up with a hybrid tree that will grow very, very quickly in that climate. So they were developing that up in Duluth. So for $5,000, not $800,000, which is what we were asked for, we're able to replace all 200 trees, and in about 5 years' time, they will have a canopy again. So we are replenishing and partnering and making Bemidji State University beautiful again. So I'm very proud as an alum to make sure that we took care of them. So, you know, if we can put in 200 trees for $5,000, I'll do that any day. And I also would say, you know, in honor of former Speaker Melissa Hortman, I believe that she also would care a lot about that we are planting 200 trees and making it beautiful again at Bemidji State. So I was very happy to accomplish that. The one thing that, like I said, that is challenging is that we didn't fix anything with the state grant program. We didn't have any money to fix it, and we changed no policy, so that big deficit remains. The other thing I know that is concern on my side of the aisle in particular is that we are still not prioritizing Minnesota students, and those that are here illegally are still getting all of the grant programs. And so while it's not a lot of money, it's about $3 million a year, we are still prioritizing people that are here illegally over our Minnesota students. So I know that is of great concern, and I just want to be upfront and tell you that there is no change. And I probably will be a no again on this bill because it really hasn't changed from when we were here before. We didn't fix anything with the state grant, and we still have, we're prioritizing students that are here illegally over our own Minnesota students. So thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the time.
Any further discussion? I recognize the member from Hennepin, Representative Robbins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I just wanted to add our thanks to all the committee members, to the colleagues in the other body who served on the conference committee with us, and also our partisan and nonpartisan staff. Our nonpartisan staff are extraordinary, Mr. Hopkins and Mr. Savory, and our partisan staff, Garrick Spenwin, Ellie Wasserman and Jesse McCardle, and Sean from the other side of the aisle. They've worked together fabulously. We've had a great relationship, and we truly appreciate all the hard work on behalf of Minnesota students. So with that, I appreciate everyone's time, and we hope for a green vote.
Any further discussion? I recognize the author, the member from Benton, Representative Wogemont.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, members, for the thoughtful discussion. Let's bust the ghost students and combat enrollment fraud. Let's make sure that our foster students have the opportunity to seek higher education. Let's plant some trees. Let's vote green. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll. Members, please vote. The chief clerk will call the names of the members voting remotely.
Burkle.
Go.
Burkle, no.
Burkle votes no. Davis.
You're on.
No.
Davis.
Do it again. Davis votes no.
Davis votes no. Momani Hiltzley.
Momani Hiltzley, aye.
Momani Hiltzley votes aye.
The clerk will close the roll. There being 101 yeas and 33 nays, the bill is repassed as amended by conference and its title agreed to.